Jump into questions, beginning with Grant Ramey, Mike Wilson, and David Pascal.
Rick, when you look back at that Vanderbilt game a few weeks ago, do you think that be kind of considered a turning point considering what y'all have done since then?
Say it again. What did you say, Grant? No, you broke up for a second.
That Vanderbilt game 3 weeks ago, does it feel like a turning point with what's happened since then?
Well, I mean, I think we're a different team, but I think they're a different team too. I mean, they've been able to get some guys back that they had out, and we've gone through some different situations ourselves. But this time of the year is when I think any coach would tell you this is the time of year. If there's not a turning point, things normally don't end up very well for you. But we've got a chance to continue to get better, and we've got to do that. But for certain players, I think individually, I mean, like Josiah James, the last 4 games, I mean, he's been a different player. He's playing, scoring at all different levels as opposed to stand behind the arc. The majority of his shots, probably 3/4 of his shots or more, were coming from behind the arc. And now he's given us the ability, or he's given himself the ability to score at all 3 levels, which is important. And it's just, I think our ball movement's been better. I think player movement's been better. And I don't know if I'd pinpoint one game or so, but just overall, I have seen, where different guys have gotten a little bit more comfortable with the role that they know that we need them to play.
Rick, after you had a chance to go back and evaluate Jonas the other night, were there more plays that he affected than maybe you noticed live? And how did you kind of come away from that in terms of what you saw?
Mike, it was. I mean, watching him on tape, offensively, what he did, the way he spaced the floor, he worked behind the rim, the basket, worked the baseline area that we call it the porch. The way he stayed active back there, and he stepped out and set some nice hammer screens on the backside. But he did. He actually, I think the first shot they shot, I was surprised. I think we all were surprised that he didn't get it because he was there, but he did affect a couple things. But we were happy with his movement, and that's has been one of the big things to get him to play at the speed that we know that he's going to have to play at here. But Jonas can shoot the ball now. When that shot he shot, I will promise you this: everybody on our team thought that shot was going in because he is a really good. I mean, Jonas shot threes when he was in high school and shot them pretty effectively. And he's not at that point yet where we need that from him. But what we need is his length, because he does give us a dimension that, and we see it in practice. We just have been waiting to get it more consistently. But the biggest thing the last 2 weeks has been his movement. I mean, he is moving just so much better than he was earlier.
Rick, when you look at y'all's schedule, you play your state rival tomorrow, and then when you look at the league race, the other 3 teams that are up there with you, you've got 4 games left against them. I mean, I know you take these things one at a time, but does it feel like March is here early, and how much can these games down the stretch prepare you for next month?
Well, you go back, I thought we had a tough opening SEC schedule. When you think about, we had to go to Alabama, we had to go to LSU, 2 teams I think were picked in the top 4 or 5 in the league. And then at Kentucky early. I mean, I thought it was tough early, but I think it's a testament to our league, is how good this league is right now in terms of the fact that Arkansas is playing terrific basketball. I mean, arguably as good as anybody in the country. And but I think everything we do is about getting better. I think that this time of year, there's a fine line you walk where you've got to get guys to get better as individuals, and you got we have guys that are playing 30-some minutes a game that we've got to make sure that they stay fresh and we give them a chance to recover and all with that part of the game. But I think anything we do from here on out is preparation for the next game. And I don't think we can think ahead to anything other than the fact that we have a really good basketball team coming in here Saturday. That's an in-state rival game that what I think they've won 3 of their last 4 games, and we've got to focus there. And then whatever happens, we go from there and get ready for the next one.
Rob Lewis, Jimmy Himes, and Reese.
Coach, you just referenced that Vanderbilt's won 3 of 4. This is pretty clearly Jerry's best team since he's been there. What do you have to get ready for when you're scouting these guys?
Well, Jerry Stackhouse is a terrific basketball coach. I mean, he's done a good job. I mean, every time since we've been against him, we've been fortunate to come out on top of these games, but they have all been very, very close games. Even a year ago when we went over there during the COVID and they had two guys two of their leading scorers didn't play. I mean, that was a rock fight. I mean, it went right to the end. And I think a lot of that goes to him and his staff, because they've done a terrific job of developing players and putting them in position where they can be successful. We know that they can really get going from behind the arc. They did that to us. They've done it seems like every game that they can go there, but now they've got size where they've got more of a balanced team, I think, where they really can go inside and score. But I think he's done a terrific job. I really do. And I look at how his teams play and how they compete. And again, it's a real credit to he and his staff.
Rick, I think a year ago that a lot of people pointed to Josiah James as the leader of your team. Do you see him showing more leadership in these last 8 or so games?
Well, Jimmy, I think when you talk about leadership, it comes in all different shapes and forms. And Josiah, in so many ways, from the time he's walked on campus, has shown leadership abilities, because you take it off the court. I mean, he's a guy that, recruiting wise, he's been invaluable with that part of our program. But on the court and his work ethic, along with Santi and I would say the guys that he's come in with, Olivier and Uros, those guys have all grown tremendously together. And I do think that what Josiah, and defensively in the second half, our second half defense, when in the first half we can help them, obviously, when they're on our end, where he and Olivier, he and Santi and really Uros, they have been tremendous on the defensive end in terms of helping see things, call things, and know what's coming. So he's really has matured tremendously from a leadership from that side, making sure his guys take seriously our scout, all that, whether it's what we want to get done offensively, defensively. And I do think that Josiah, if you guys knew how hard he's worked since he's been here to become the shooter that he is, and then he's had to deal with some injuries, and it seemed like every time he got going, something would pop up, and it's just like just tough luck, whatever you want to put on it. But the fact is, he's always responded well, because even when he wasn't able to practice, he never let up on terms of him doing any and everything that he could do to help his teammates when he couldn't play. I think it's really been neat that Olivier did that the other night. He called a bunch of the guys and told them what they needed to do. And so, but Joe's been a leader in many different ways since he's been here, and is now, 3 years. You expect it from him.
Hey, Coach, tomorrow is the Donate Life game. Why is that important to you?
Well, it's important because of the fact that we know that it saves lives, but we also have, Tom Sakoviak, who when I got here, was waiting for a liver, and personally watching what he went through for a couple of years, just waiting, and it was almost like he had to get sicker and sicker and sicker before he could be a candidate for that. But and then watching what happened to him and how he's come back, and the positive influence that he's made within our family, with everyone. But you think about, there's stories like Tom out there everywhere. They're all over the place. And so I think the fact that when someone is willing to donate to life, to give someone else a life when their life is over, I think it's just a remarkable that we have a program in place where people can do that.
Ryan Shumpert, Ben McKee, and then back to Mike.
You guys have had 3 big games now where you've been up double digits in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Just what's been the key to getting off to such hot starts?
Again, I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing other than if we get off and get going, we've talked about the speed that we'd like to play with and get going. But when we move the ball and, you know, we had a couple possessions the other night in those games where we've made 4 or 5 passes within, you know, 7 seconds of the shot clock, where we're getting the ball going from side to side and getting player movement and playing with some speed, both on and off the ball. And obviously, you know, when guys are making shots, there's a lot of nights when you don't play well, you make shots and it looks good. There's some nights when you play really well and you can't make shots and you're like, but we know making shots makes it all look good. But what we've liked is that we've gotten better shots in terms of more of the shots that we have practiced, the kind that we work on daily, as opposed to earlier where we all felt that we had guys that were rushing shots like I've got to make one, and as opposed to just doing what we practice.
Rick, just what'd you see from Brandon when you went back and watched the tape from the other night? And do you anticipate him being in that starting lineup again?
Yeah, right now, yeah. I mean, obviously we'll practice today. Yesterday was just more of a cleanup day, but you know, again, you would expect Brandon getting a chance to start for the first time to, you know, be a little jittery, but I thought that he handled himself well. I do. I think that you know, terrific pass he caught from Josiah in traffic that scored the first one, and again he banked the shot in. But the fact that he looked very comfortable shooting that, he has to continue to understand the defensive side of it at a high level, being able to keep moving from play to play to play. But we expect him. I mean, you know, if you guys think back, I said this, that most freshmen, they really start getting it at the end of January. And if they don't get it by then, it's difficult to get it. And the fact is, you know, they all showed signs, but now's the time for consistency. And some guys can pick it up quicker than others. Some guys can understand what it takes to win at the very highest level. Some guys can't get out of their own way, you know, thinking that, you know, that they've got to do this, they got to do that. The quicker guys buy into understanding the exact role they have to play, I'm telling you, it gets better, not only for them, but for everybody. And I do think Brandon is understanding that more and more right now.
Rick, Vanderbilt didn't have Rodney Chapman last time you guys played, and seems like he's really altered the team with just some experience and the way that he plays. How has he changed them, and what's different with him in the lineup?
Well, again, just what you said, I think his experience, I think he brings light, gives him another guard, obviously, that can do something, you know, and but he has definitely altered what they do, and it gives you another player that you've got to not just, you know, it probably has helped, you know, Scottie Pippen Jr. more than anybody, having another guy out there that gets a lot of focus. But they put a team on the floor where, you know, they've got a number of different guys they can put out there that can hurt you. And so, but I do think that he has altered their team.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.
We'll have Jonas in just a moment.